I am telling you, it is the definition between an entrepreneur and an employee. The employee goes to the cliff, looks over the cliff, says, is there a balloon down there? Do I be safe? What happens if it hurts? What if I land on my neck? The entrepreneur, they said, we need to jump off the cliff, backs up 10 feet, get a fucking run.
This town needs an enema.
Fuck.
Julio! Where's Commissioner Green?
Come on. You guys say beat me.
You stupid!
You don't really think you can leave. Things change.
You've got me! Who's got you?
Everything changed. Yeah, and anyone who tells you different is just lying.
You know who this is? This is Mark motherfucking Sylvester.
Yeah, nailed it.
Fucking
Every time.
All the time.
We're pretty fucking awesome, man.
Yo, we're on point like Everlast.
Every time. You know, I feel like the beginning of the show is always just like blowing our egos.
Why doesn't the whole show be that?
I think that should be it.
Yeah.
Just every time. We'll just book guests on and just talk cool about us for a change.
Yeah. And if they don't, we'll just fucking swipe them out.
Yeah. Like this is the stipulation.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
To be on the show,
Yeah.
you have to blow our ego or have boobs.
And send cash.
Cash. Yeah.
People
It's
will
just
cheat.
it's not that hard, I don't think, you know?
Nah, respect them rules.
Yeah. Respect.
Yo.
Guys, we're trying some new things tonight. We're actually streaming to Facebook for the first time in forever. We'll try
Whoa.
this out. It's been a second. We'll just see if we have any reach over there. So shout out to any Facebook people out there. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We're also streaming to X like we always do, and to Rumble, and possibly Instagram, but I feel like I always have problems doing that. So I don't know if it is or not. We'll see. But it's gonna be great. We're gonna have a fun
Thank
show.
you to our Aunt Petunias and Cousin Larry's on Facebook for coming back and hitting the likes and the shares and the Care Bears.
Remember us. Remember is what they say.
Mhm.
I'll say hi to the chat real quick before we get rocking and a rolling. We got Mark Penger, #1 in the chat, #1 in our hearts. Appreciate you, brother.
Always.
As always. Hail Lore's in the house. Good to see you from here on the Steadfast. Member of the channel is here. As always, appreciate you. We got Christopher John in the house.
Sup?
Hail to you. Hail to you. Pizza's wait. Henry's here. Yeah. Where's it pizza? No. I can't remember. I'm confused.
Henry's here.
It happens. Smokes a lot, you know. Too much. Member of the channel, Cosmic Studios, is in the house as well. Look at you, brother. Good to see you. YSA, my friend. Good evening to you. You got the time scales from San Francisco. If you're going to San Francisco, Paulus Arts is in the house. Hail.
What's going
on, brother? And What Geeks Do Network. Hey, everyone. Hey to you. Thank you so much for being here, guys. We appreciate you. Look, we're going to get rolling on this. It's been a second because we had to skip the last odd and stuff. And every time we do, I feel like we just mess the beginning of the show up. So we're going to try our best this time to do it correctly.
Take your time.
So,
Take a break.
It's Thursday night. I'm feeling good.
The 4-year anniversary month of art and stuff. Almost 24 years in the business on technicality. Like Norman, my skills are the baits. I may be a little dysfunctional,
but I'm fucking functional. I'm recklessly
okay.
charismatic, editor extraordinaire, the Hispanic god on paper, creator type 1, the only one, except no duplicates. I'm cooler than the gang, Jersey's finest, Sean Ahrendt. With me, as always, my brother-in-law.
Very talented, very distinguished, very sexy. Always narcissistic, but never vain. Damn, I messed it up. I knew it, dude. I knew it. I psyched myself up.
There
Let
you
me
go.
do it again. Let me do it again.
All right.
Very talented, very sexy, very distinguished. Always narcissistic, but never vain. Staunch defender Rob Liefeld and Gina Carano, and a lover of all things 90s. Joseph Michael Sonntag, or Joe Sonntag, if you prefer, as the Pope likes to call me, JMS. Welcome to the show, and as always, what an awesome show is we have for you tonight is who do we have returning to the show, Sean?
We have a professional. We have
shit.
We have the creator of First Man. We have one of the coolest guys ever. He wrote the book on comic books, or the modern book on comic books.
He did.
He's bringing us KOR-DRATH. Mr. Andy Smith, one of the best. Bring him up.
Preach it. Let's go. Andy, welcome to the show. How you doing, my friend?
Hello. Glad to be back. What's up, my boys?
You know, just having a good old time. Looking forward to the show. It's been a second since you were on. I think maybe, maybe 2 years? I don't know. It feels
I don't think it's been that long. Maybe
all right, good. I would have felt bad if that was the case.
Time flies.
Yeah, I don't think it's been that long.
Paulus Art is in the house. Also, Cunt O'Hare is dropping in.
I love
you
that.
Guys. I see Duck Bacon is in the house. Look at that. Good to see you guys. Love it. The names dropping in here. Appreciate you very much. So been a busy year for you, Andy. How's it been going?
It's going good. You know, working on KOR-DRATH, like you guys said, and doing some more players for the Bears upcoming season, which I assume they'll show soon.
Yes.
I mean, I've been, the first year I did it, I don't think I was allowed to even say anything about it. But since it's been pretty much every year since 2018, as long as I don't divulge what players, I think it's okay for me to say, yeah, I'm doing some players again. So,
right.
Yeah, so doing that and stuff. And yeah, it's going good.
Hell yeah.
I get excited, when you mention the Bears stuff, because if anybody knows, I'm a Bears fan.
I know,
and I'm excited about this season. Yeah, I got some.
Hype. It'll be interesting for sure because they had the first year I did the stuff for them, they made the playoffs and stuff. That was 2018, and I think they've made the playoffs since then, but they've been more bad than good since 2018. I think.
Yeah, I mean I can't deny that. And I think this is the time. I think it's the turnaround. I think is where we're at.
Well, at least
hopefully.
Yeah, at least we're not
it's weird because I see so many players that I've drawn that are on other teams now.
I know that
from the past years. I'm just like, what the hell? This guy doesn't play for him anymore. Because I don't really keep that much track. I mean, But,
the coloring book I got from you, like pretty much, I think nobody is on the team.
Yeah, I don't think anybody on that coloring book plays for him anymore.
Yep, that is kind of funny. Christopher Bouchard in the house. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, we only got an hour here, so let's get rolling with the show.
Yeah,
Sean.
Yeah.
You had a topic that you brought up the other day. You're like, would be perfect for this show. I'm going to let you lead it off. I'm going to say hi to the chat real quick because the Core 20 is in the house. By the way, we've got 45 watching over on X right now, 20. Yes. One watching over Facebook. So we're not hitting very hard over there yet, but one day we'll see. And
we'll get there.
A couple over on Instagram. Good to see you guys. Shout out to everybody. Wherever you're watching, please hit the like button. Go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel, share it around to your friends and family. Awesome comic book talk here. Great guests. No drama unless I'm talking about AI. Then there's drama.
That's right.
So that's what we're doing here. All right. You, my friend.
So a few weeks ago, Rob Liefeld on his Robservations podcast had the topic of why I sucked. And it wasn't in the matter of why he sucked, because he does not. He was talking about how while he was breaking records, kicking ass, doing his best damn comic books around, when the internet started to come around, we got the trolls. We got people sitting in their mama's basements giving their opinions, saying, "What's up, Primo? It's my cousin, Mikey, Jets fan." Yeah. Saying, I could do better than that. And they couldn't. So they wanted to deter people of people doing their passion, doing what they're great on. And I just got really inspired by it because I'm like, fucking hey, Rob, 1, he's the shit. 2, he's awesome. And it was one of the best shows, like Andy had said prior.
It was a good show.
On Live Day.
It
just
was,
really
yeah.
struck a nerve and really inspired me. That weekend, I was just working on pages for Type 1 on Indiegogo right now. Don't be a bum, back Type 1. But
There you go.
I thought, what better topic than to talk with another living legend like our buddy Andy here on
Yes.
perseverance, hitting the grind, and just making awesome comic books. And fuck people's internet feelings while they're in their mom's basement.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's true. I've listened to almost every one of his episodes. I can't believe it's been 4 years.
Crazy, right?
And yeah, I mean, the thing is about Rob is just his energy gets you excited almost after every episode to want to draw and sit down and just do it, you know?
Facts.
So yeah, I mean, that episode was just great because the title, it's not that the title was misleading. It definitely pulled you in to want to listen to it because you didn't know where he was going to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the first, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, you're like, oh, this is where he's going. And it was good because it really showed because the thing is, yeah, we've all heard the criticism of Rob and I'm a fan of Rob's work. I've liked it since, it first came out. I've busted balls on it about it like we all probably have with stuff. But in the scheme of things, it's comics. I think it's cool. And I think when it comes to comics, kind of like Rob says, a lot of it is about the cool factor and stuff, and that's his way of thinking about drawing comics. Not everybody's that way.
True.
But to me, that's what comics are supposed to be,
Yeah.
And I just thought he had great points. He brought up when he was working on Captain America and how people were like, it sucks. Look at this and look at this. And it's like, yeah, well, look at the sales numbers,
Right. Undeniable right there.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing with listening to that I thought was cool is you never really there are the tons of Rob detractors out there, but you never, it's just weird. Obviously I know that he hears that stuff or I should say sees that stuff and reads that stuff throughout the years.
Yeah.
But you just kind of assume he brushes it off. And even if he's like, yeah, I just brush that crap off, I'm sure at first it's still kind of like, oh. But then, like he says, he can sit there and go, yeah, but my book sold this and my book sold this. But even if you're not selling that, I mean, I've never sold numbers even close to that. But you just have to sit there and go, I'm doing what I want. I'm happy with what I'm doing. And, the people that are running their mouths, everybody's allowed to have an opinion. But if it's not constructive, my whole mindset is, well, then fuck them.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like when somebody asks me to give them a critique. If I give somebody a critique, I'm not just going to say, look through their stuff and go, yeah, this stuff blows and push their portfolio back. Because then even at that point, even if it did, I wouldn't have a problem if they were like, you know what, pal, fuck you, and walked away. Because that's not constructive at all.
Yeah.
You need to have constructive criticism is one thing. Just dogging on something, that's not constructive.
And that's what everything seems to become now on social media. Is just everyone wants to be the first one to dog for some reason. Whatever that might be. And I love the episode because I always thought that Rob does a great job with the just unwarranted hate that he gets. I mean, there's legitimate criticism you can have about anybody's art for sure, but just the stupid, just I don't know what it is, hate that he gets.
Art police is what they are.
And just how he's handled it. It was kind of cool to see him actually open up about it, and the message though at the end of him just being like, you can't let that kind of stuff get you, because every time someone says, at the time that he was sucking, look at the numbers he was doing. Undeniable.
Right.
Every time you jump on a book, the numbers, I mean, it's just the dude has had such a stellar career. And it's really good to see somebody that stayed on top like that, has taken so much flack now for like what, 25 years, like really heavily, 20 years, really heavy since social
Oh
media.
yeah. Oh no, he's taken well, dude, trust me, even before social media and stuff, you can legit say since X-Force number
True,
one,
true.
he's taken shit because I was working in the business when that came out, and there might not have been social media and internet and stuff, but trust me, in the business itself, he might not have heard it as readily because you couldn't just log in, so it was more knives in the back. But just among other pros and stuff, he was taking shots left and right. And you could easily say back then, part of it was probably jealousy,
It's gotta be.
because
So young
I
at the
know
time.
I know from talking to other professionals and stuff that totally do not like his work. And it's like, okay, you don't have to like it. That's fine. There's lots of, there's, I, I can't even put the number of comic artists that are working right now, and I probably don't like a lot of them, but it's just not my cup of tea, And it's like, if something's not your cup of tea, that's fine. It's the same thing like listening to radio or watching something. Change the channel, fine. You don't like his work, don't buy it,
Right.
But there's always been styles in comics, and I know this will get a lot of, could possibly get a lot of heat when I say it, but I'm not going to say Rob is like a modern day Jack Kirby, right? He is very, he's created a ton of characters and stuff. His stuff is very exciting to look at, but when you go back and I look at what Jack did when he really started that style of the blockiness and the slashes and the squiggles on his art and his figures and stuff. I'm sure when he first started doing that, people looked at it and were just the same, just like, what is this? That drawing's not accurate. That drawing's not right. That's not how a body looks, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, yeah, you're right. It's not, but look how powerful the stuff is.
Right.
Yep.
Look how it jumps off the page. Look how it excites people when they read it and look at it.
Yeah.
And I've had this conversation with diehard Kirby fans, and they're like, "Oh, you can't compare the two." And I'm like, "No, I think you can, because the things that people say about Rob stuff, like his drawing's funky and this and that. It's like, well, Jack's drawing was funky,
Right?
And the thing is, if you look at the stuff Jack was doing before he was even doing Captain America, before he created Captain America. And even on Captain America, his figures were more anatomically correct.
Right.
It wasn't until basically, I think, Marvel with the Fantastic Four, maybe a little bit before that, doing the romance stuff, he was getting more stylized. But once he really got going on the superhero stuff, I mean, if you look at Fantastic Four #1 and then just 10, 12 issues later, you can see a change. And then it just started going, he's doing 4 pages a day or whatever. And part of the reason he could do that is he was, Mr. 4-panel, 6-panel, even 9-panel grid. And when you go into that way of basically saying, this is how I'm going to do pages, 6-panel, 4-panel grids, that really does take a lot out of the thought process of laying out a page, because you're going, I'm doing 6 panels, boom,
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But back to Rob, I think it is unfair the amount of crap he gets thrown at him for his art, because we're cartoonists, is what we are. Are there artists in this business who are very illustrative with their art that draw comics? Yeah. You know, there's lots of them, and they're very classically trained when you look at them, and their stuff's very illustrative. You know,
Yeah.
but in my mind, yeah, and you're drawing comic books, you're still a cartoonist.
Yep.
You know, and if you're going to bounce Rob for his style, I mean, to me, that's like going, "Oh, Rob can't draw human figures." Well, yeah, and Charles Schultz can't draw people
Right.
Yeah, it's perfect.
either, I guess. Well, no, he's cartooning. They're supposed to be, you know, well, that's what Rob's doing.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot it's people forget, like you brought up earlier, the cool factor. You know, like to me,
Right.
as an artist myself, or just someone that reads comics, you know, like the cool factor to me has always been more important than somebody drawing like everything correct with the best perspective and the best proportions and anatomy and all that kind of stuff. Because it is a fantasy, and you want to see that the boundaries of reality get pushed, you know, which is why you see characters posing or, you know, standing or jumping in these positions you could never achieve in real life. You know, it's
Right.
cool. That's
Well,
what
and I
you tune
think
in for.
right. And the thing with even the cool factor is you could take 10 people and ask them what that means, you know, 10 comic artists, you know, and ask
Right.
them what that means in regards to comic art, and you'll probably get 10 different answers. You know, because once again, that's still an opinion of what somebody thinks is cool. I look at I have such a wide variety of comic art styles that I like. I go from like I l- I love Liefeld stuff. I love McFarlane stuff all the
Right.
way to classic John Buscema, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and Neil Adams. And I think both those guys have super cool factor going on with their work. And old school Jim Aparo when he was doing Batman Brave and the Bold and stuff. You know, I look at that and I'm like, that has a great cool factor because of how they tell the story and their panel layouts and such. So it's not just one thing that you go, nope, this is the cool factor. Nothing else is. It's got to
Right.
be this way. And, you know, with that episode that we're talking about with Rob talking about, you know, yeah, when I sucked, I did X-Force #1, which sold, you know, 1.8 million, whatever it was. I don't
Right.
remember the number of copies, but, you know, and I can tell you, I own like 3 copies of X-Force 1.
I've got a ton.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I've got the reprint.
The gold
you know,
cover
which
one.
is like gold or something, whatever
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was.
I got
I've
that
got the
one.
reprint. I've got one that I still kept in a poly bag just because it's not like it's the Deadpool one, which is the more
Exactly, yeah.
expensive one. I just have it because it's like, nah, it's still in a poly bag. You know, I got the True Believers. What was it? The dollar one they did. That's the one I keep next to my desk.
Right.
You know, same with Youngblood #1. I got a few of those. I just love that shit. It's fun to look at. You know,
Yeah. That
so
it reminds me of a much simpler time in comics, you know, before, I don't know, before modern day, I guess you could say, or I guess it was modern day, but modern day as we are now.
yeah,
But it's, yeah, if you guys haven't yet, check out the podcast that Rob does. He does it on his own website. It's on Apple. It's on iTunes, I believe.
Yep.
Oh, you can find it. It's a great podcast. He's got really good topics every week. I think he does what, twice a week
Twice a week,
twice a week.
Tuesdays
for the
and
last 4
Fridays.
years.
Yep.
Some really, really cool stuff. Go check it out. But yeah, that episode was really good. It was a very inspiring episode, especially at the end.
Yeah, like
you know what else?
I was
When
working the
yeah,
whole
go
week.
ahead.
Like I'm sorry, like I'm like, dude, we gotta talk about this. Like I've been up since the crack of dawn. Like I redeveloped 3 characters. I drew a page. And it's only like 12 o'clock. And I've had 5 cups of coffee. You know, now I'm talking like Rob. So it's very infectious. After you listen to one of his podcasts,
He is.
You definitely just want to make comic books, and it's really inspiring.
Well, he's so like he did the last one he did, not the last one, but recently he did one that was talking about, I believe, a specific it was talking about, I think it was Jim Shooter specific storyline on the Avengers when Jim was writing it, and George Perez, it was when George was first starting on not first starting, but George was on it, Byrne was on it and stuff. And I have issues of Avengers, but they're kind of spotty with gaps and stuff. And I tell you, whenever he talks about a specific storyline, I write it down, what the storyline was. So later in the day, when I have free time, I can either see what issues I have of it, if any, or I'll just look it up in general and be like, that does sound cool. I want to read that now. I mean,
Right.
he's a great freaking salesman.
Yeah.
He gets done with like a storyline, and I'm like, damn, I want to read that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Sean and
Or
I
I
were
want to
saying
reread it if I
he-
have it.
he's almost like our modern day version of like Stan Lee when it comes to the excitement
Yeah.
level of
Oh, yeah.
comics, and it's
Yeah.
infectious, that it draws you in, makes you want to really go check out those books, or just like Sean said, makes you want to draw and get
Yeah.
back into creating and everything.
Yeah.
Before we jump forward, guys,
There's a super chat, motherfucker.
Oh, money.
Look at that. Christopher John for $5. Thank you, brother. Says, when did emulating, let me talk correctly. When did emulating legendary artists become such a bad thing?
Not in my book.
Yeah, I mean, I think if
I
you're
don't
gonna
know if it
learn,
really has, to be honest.
yeah.
I think it's more, I don't know if accepted is the right word now than it was before. Because if you go back, guys that came out of Neil Adams' studio, you could tell
Yeah.
because
Right,
they
yeah.
were, Tom Grinberg, Mike Nasser, or Mike Netzer, whatever, those two guys especially were like, oh yeah, they love Neil Adams. And then you find out, oh, they came out of continuity and whatever. But, like Rob even said on one of his podcasts, in the 80s, Art Adams was the shit.
Yep.
And him, Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, those guys were riffing a little bit of Art Adams, a little bit of Michael Golden,
Yeah.
And eventually what happens is, and a lot of art, not every artist starts out doing that,
Mhm.
but a lot of artists start out emulating artists they like, and then eventually they become their own thing. I mean, I did. It's, there's no I don't hide that fact. I mean, mine was Bart Sears, but part of it was because I had him as a teacher at the Kubert School,
Mhm.
and he was a mentor of mine. And, when you're working that closely with somebody, for me, I related to Brett Booth and Jim Lee.
Yeah,
Brett's
yeah.
stuff you still look at and go, oh, yeah, dude, like if you didn't know the history of Brett Booth starting off at Wildstorm, which means under the, mentorship basically of Jim Lee, you would just go, oh, this guy obviously is a Jim Lee hack. It's like, no, he actually
Right.
got his start there. And when you work that close with somebody who basically took you under their wing, it's going to happen,
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm not quite sure it is a bad thing. I think a bad thing would be if you're like, oh, I love this guy's work, and the only way you can draw comics is if you have his whole collection and you're literally going, I need a close up. There's a good one. Trace it off.
Right.
Yeah.
If
That's
you're
bad.
if
Yeah.
you look so much like the artist that people can tell the main influence of your art, it's I love looking at someone's artist and be like, well, I can see they're influenced by this person and this person and this person. You can pull out those different influences. But yeah, if somebody comes out and they're just a straight rip off of name whatever artist you want, I don't think
Yeah,
that they're
if you're literally swiping panel like Rich Buckler, and look, I loved Rich Buckler's stuff, but he went through those phases. When he was working at Marvel, doing Fantastic Four fill-ins, he was definitely doing more of a Kirby, and there would definitely be Kirby swipes. When he was doing his Neil Adams type stuff, which was mostly when he was working for DC, as a kid, I didn't catch it like, oh, that's a Neil Adams swipe from this or from this. But, being such a Neil Adams fan and being in the business for as long and seeing so much stuff, whenever I look at something Buckler does, and I do collect his work from that time period of when he was working for DC, I can look through it and I'll be like, oh, yeah, it's a Green Lantern pose. Oh, wait, that's a Batman pose. Because he was just ripping them just
right.
Yeah.
I I can even forgive it because at that time period there wasn't royalties. It was just your page rate, which wasn't probably high back then, and it was one of those things you got to do a few pages a day and whatever gets the job done.
Mhm.
And at DC at the time, with Neil being the man, it's almost kind of like, well, we're not getting Neil in a monthly book anymore.
Yeah.
This Rich Buckler guy does a fantastic job at it, so who cares?
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Which it's funny because Rob had a show not too long ago, maybe it was the newest one about swiping.
Yes.
And I
that was-
haven't
Yes.
listened. I haven't listened to it yet. I've
Okay.
been too busy, but I feel like that would have worked very good within this conversation. If you guys, did see that show,
Yep.
what was his thought on it? For back in the day, because he homaged a lot of people in
Yeah,
his early
right.
art,
Well, I'll give you my 2 cents and then Sean jump in, obviously. At first he started talking, a lot of the show he was talking about movies,
Mhm.
about,
Okay.
George Lucas and what he riffed from, I can't remember the name of the movie now, but George pulled a lot of stuff from Star Wars from a
The
Asian
Japanese
director.
movie.
The Japanese movie.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it, but there's
Okay.
like even shot for shot, he pulls stuff.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then even in Indiana Jones,
Mhm.
there's a great Western director from the 30s, 40s, probably into the 50s, who in Indiana Jones, Spielberg lifted and expanded on, like when Harrison Ford went underneath like the truck and
Mhm.
stuff in Indiana Jones. And I think he even said when Indiana Jones was first introduced, the very first time you saw him was lifted from one of these I can't the name of the director that did the westerns was John something. I can't remember his last
Okay.
name right now. But they lifted stuff. And then he did move on to comics and talking about himself, and he's like, "Look, I I did that Frank Miller riff,
Mhm.
where from Ronin, where in Youngblood, where he
Yep.
or not New Mutants or Youngblood, whichever one it was.
Yeah. New Mutants.
And
Yeah.
he actually signed it though after Frank Miller, and editorial took it out.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. I must have missed it. Oh, actually, yeah, I didn't watch that show. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting that
And
they made him take that out. Interesting.
in X-Force #1, he riffed the first 2 pages from George Perez's Teen Titans.
Yes.
And
Yep.
apparently he signed that as well after George, and editorial took it out. And he said editorial was like, "Stop writing that stuff because we're just going to take it out."
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it kind of makes sense because they probably
Oh
weren't
yeah, John
at the
Ford.
company at the time.
Seven Samurai and John Ford was the director
Thank
of the
you, Henry.
westerns. Okay, thanks, man.
It's funny though because in a day and age now where it's the swiping without context, you just look at that image and be like, "Oh, this looks like this image." They swiped it, they stole it, kind of thing. Where I love the aspect of homages, I really do.
Yeah,
I think
brought
it's
that up.
great to show the respect to
Yeah.
the people that came before you. If you can actually sign it, that's awesome. But if not, you put it out there, whatever. To me, I have no problem with it. The stuff has never bothered me.
And
It
it's
only
cool
bothers
because-
me when somebody pretends like it's their original idea. And then
there's
it's
a
just
bunch
kind
of
of
those
okay.
guys out like claiming to be. And it's like, no, but
Oh, for sure.
that's Stephen Platt. Prophet #7. I see it. We all see it. But he went on about like how homage is like the proper way, the more better way to like experience the swipe, because you put after.
Right.
He went on how like Walt Simonson did that very same thing with the Thor cover, but he just changed Better Ray Bill instead of Hercules and just adjusted the hand. Didn't do after Jack, but nobody cared. Still looked cool. Still got it. Still understood where it was coming from.
Yep.
But we have the art police, and they're like, real, I caught you. It's like, did you? But I'm glad you saw what I did. It's just funny, like people and their opinions.
Oh, and that Jack Kirby cover that Walt homaged from.
Mhm.
I know Bart homaged from it for an EXO cover he did.
Mhm.
Walt did it on New Gods as well.
Yep.
Ron Frenz has done it. When Ron Frenz was drawing Thor in I think it was late 80s, early 90s, he was in a big Jack Kirby phase, and part of it was he had Joe Sinnott inking a lot of that stuff,
Right.
Ooh.
and he was pulling a lot of Thor stuff from Jack, you know. And he didn't write in every panel or every cover after Jack. He just did it, and then if you're schooled enough in it, you're like, oh, he's riffing Jack, awesome. And if you were a kid like me at the time who didn't know, you were just like, oh, that's cool. And then, of course, I found out later when I started getting some more of that Jack Thor stuff.
Yeah. It's funny. We were looking at Stephen Platt's work, his run on Moon Knight back in the 90s. And
I got that. Yeah.
We got into one book specifically, or maybe it was the entire series. I can't remember, but we started just seeing
the War one with or Crusade. It was the Spider-Man issue.
The Spider-Man was in it, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like so many McFarlane poses that were just exactly lifted. We never caught it before until like that moment. We're like, oh shit. Oh damn. It's just.
But it was cool.
But it was cool.
And the funny thing is, I didn't even know this, but like McFarlane riffed off of Tony Salmon's on when he was drawing Spider-Man for a pose that was originally Daredevil. I think he pulled an Art Adams one time.
He did?
And when Spider-Man was coming out by Todd and I was buying it, I never knew that. God's truth, I only knew about these in the past, I think 2 or 3 years. I think I learned about them from talking with Dan Fraga.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, I did. Well, yeah, both my KOR-DRATH homage covers are, from Conan 1 and 2.
Right.
So
it's a funny subject. I mean, just some people get really up in arms about it. To me, I've got less worried about it over the years, especially when I know that someone's doing things to homage people, and I think that's really cool. But
yeah,
we're gonna move on here in just a second. Where was it? Okay, Stippling Vaughn. I saw you. I was trying to hold on to your question, man. You said, or comment at least. So was it really swiping or maintaining the house style? And that was actually something that was cool when all the image guys left. All the artists that took over for them on their books, eventually, like Andy Kuber, even Greg Capullo to an extent, they all kind of morphed into that house style, right? They wanted to kind of resemble the guys that just left, so you cushion the blow, right? And to me, that wasn't necessarily swiping, but just kind of maintaining it at the time. And honestly, I was all for it as a fan of art back then. When Marvel, all my favorite guys were at Image, and some of the new guys coming up were, capturing that same kind of style. And I was like, do it. I'm all about it.
Yeah, no, I think, Andy would have Jim Lee copies on his desk when he was doing X-Men. I don't know about Greg. I know that because Andy worked in the bottom floor of the Kubert school, and I would go down there and talk to him and stuff.
Nice.
Greg, I'm sure, same thing. It was probably like, oh, I'm taking over on X-Force. They were doing, Rob was already gone at the time, but the artist in between that few issue gap between when Rob left and Greg took over, it's like Mark Pacella, guys like that were trying to do like a Rob type thing. So Greg probably thought, yeah, why not? Or editorial said, could you try it and do it? Because I mean, that's not out of the question either.
That's what I was. I've always kind of been under that impression that editorial came to the guys and was like, hey, at least for a while, we need you to draw like this guy, draw like this.
Yeah, they might have. I don't know for sure, but they might have.
Because if you look at like Stephen Platt's early art, it is very much Todd McFarlane. That Moonlight run is like very, very much, and that's kind of my thought. I'm like, I wonder if editorial is like, hey, we got talent here. He's picking up steam. He kind of has that vibe. Do that. You'll be our replacement for Todd, kind of thing.
Right.
Who knows? That would be interesting to talk to somebody that could actually give an answer to that one day. That's what I'm going to assume until somebody corrects me on it.
But this is the rumor we're spreading as of now.
Spread the rumor. We're all about starting and spreading rumors on this show.
Yeah.
All right. You have a book out right now that you are rocking and rolling on. This is the second in the series, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about it for a second. If you guys don't know, KOR-DRATH, The Awakening, Andy Smith and Dennis Turner. Looks awesome. Right. If you're into like the Conan and all the barbarian fantasy stuff, you're gonna love this book.
Yes, guaranteed you will. Everybody that got the first one seemed to really enjoy it. So KOR-DRATH is back with Adriana, and now that Vordoom has been introduced from the first book as being a real big bad guy of the book that kind of lords over the Necronite and Lilith. KOR-DRATH doesn't know that yet, but the reader does. And Vordoom realizes he might have to get his hands dirty because Necronite and Lilith weren't exactly getting the job done. He's not too thrilled with them. So, he's going to probably have to step up his game in this one. Don't want to give too much away. And go after some of these artifacts that KOR-DRATH still doesn't realize he needs. But so Vordoom knows what he's going after, and KOR-DRATH and Adriana don't. It's more like if you read the first book, you see in the first book how they get the first one, and it's almost like stumbling upon it, and then they of course find out what it can do and stuff, but they also don't know that there's more at this point really that they have to go after. So that's not really what their goal is in the story. KOR-DRATH and Adriana's goal is just to stop the evil from spreading, but they don't realize, well, if you could actually get these artifacts, you'd have a much better chance. Whereas Vordoom's like, oh no, I need to get these. Right. So at some point it's going to come to a head with the two of them meeting up. But right now, in this book, they're still kind of apart as their journey moves forward and goes on throughout the book. So
hell yeah,
that's where we're at. New characters are added, couple new creatures, monsters, whatever you want to call them, are added to it as well. So it's good times. I'm up to page, what am I on? 16, I think.
Nice.
Oh, nice. I was gonna say, I see that 64 pages. I was just looking the amount of preview pages that you put on here.
Yeah, we always do 5. I mean, we did more for the first book because it was the very first book, and we had dialogue on them and stuff. Because we really wanted to, draw people in and have them be able to read the first 11 and go, "Oh yeah." But with this one, we're sticking for now. I mean, as the campaign goes on, we might, tease out panels and stuff. But for now, we're sticking with the 5.
No, I think that's great. I actually thought there was more than 5 when I was just looking at it, because it just seems like there's a ton, but maybe it's just okay. Yeah, it's just so badass that I'm just like, oh yeah, like, oh, there's so much here.
Well, we pack a lot into every page as well. So
yeah, I like the action. Love the monsters.
Are you doing anything different stylistically or aesthetically with the art? Or are you just going straight to the board with this and then like doing it maybe light sketching and then get funky with the inks?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I did the first one. With KOR-DRATH, I decided to just draw straight to the paper, straight to the board. Which, I mean, that's how I did stuff for a very long time. But when I was doing First Man, I drew the pages digitally, and then I would print them out and ink traditionally.
Okay.
But that I inked more clean because to me, superhero book cleaner.
Sure.
With KOR-DRATH, it's, I don't pencil it as tight, so I do more of the drawing in the ink, basically.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm loving the final touch of this. Like it's different than what I'm normally used to you doing, but it's rock and roll.
It's
dude.
got much more
It's
raw
awesome.
grit than First
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, and I like that.
Yeah, and that's what I want. I want it to be grittier. One of the add-ons is a book of the layouts. So this time around, and it's just, it's regular, graphic novel size. But this time around, I'm scanning all the pages before I start inking.
Okay.
So if somebody wants to see what my layouts look like before I start inking them, they can. And then there's a black and white version of the book too. Not an artist edition like last time that was hardcover oversized. Just full black and white with the word balloon so you can actually read it. But if you were to get that and then add on the layouts, you'd really be able to compare because there'd be no color to obscure the, so you really see the line art and stuff.
I like this
So-
kind of Looney Tunes advertisement here.
S.
Yeah,
Every
S.
time.
Yeah, love it. It's great. Yeah, really gets the feel of the book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
I like
Dude,
this.
you're always teaching people how to draw. Like I tell everybody they gotta get your how to draw book. Like it's look, I love the Marvel one. You take
Oh, sure.
the first, but you fucking jump and advance it so much that it is so great for aspiring creators to learn how to draw comic books and doing stuff like this. They go into your process and see how you figure out your tricks and what you do from point A to Z to a complete page.
Yeah, I love this.
Oh,
This is really
thanks.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, for just
what's
loving
weird
art,
is-
it's really cool to see.
Thank you. When I did when I did the how to draw book that came out in 2000, it came out in 2000, but I started working on it in 98. And when I pitched it to the publisher, they were all excited about it because at that time in 1998, besides How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, there were probably less than 5 other books specifically on how to draw comics. They were like, oh, this is great.
Oh,
Now, if you look, there's tons of them. They're everywhere,
right.
which I think is awesome too, because I still buy stuff like that. But I was just thinking about it because my book turns 25 next year.
Nice.
Um,
That's cool.
But then think about, I just thought of this, Sean, we were talking. Marvel, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way came out in 1977.
Yeah.
You add 25 on top of that, and I'm pretty sure that's 2002, isn't it?
I'm spent. I don't know.
Is it? Or am I
Wait.
wrong?
Say that again. I was reading
1977 plus 25.
77 plus 25. Now I feel dumb.
That's
Do the math.
2002.
Yeah, ish. Yeah.
It's 2002.
Okay, there you go.
So that is
Horrible math.
very hard for me to wrap my mind around that book in 2002 is out for 25 years and mine will be out for 25 years next year. I mean, that
pretty
is
cool,
just,
man.
That's wild.
it is, but it's kind of like I saw a meme the other day with Back to the Future that said, Marty McFly went back from 1985 to 1955. That's like us going back to 1994. And I was like, whoa, what the fuck?
I know, I saw that too, and I was like, oh man, that
It's
hurts
like,
my brain thinking about
holy shit.
that. Yeah, that's crazy.
'Cause
That's
that just-
how-
It doesn't seem that long ago. Like,
right.
I know I'm older than both of you guys. I don't know. I assume by a pretty good amount. Dude, 1994, I was, well, technically going by the year I was born, 25. So to
Okay,
me,
yeah.
1994 is not that long ago,
Right.
like in my mind.
Exactly. Yeah.
But then when they say it's 30 years, I'm like, oh,
No, it's really crazy when you stop and think about that stuff.
yeah.
Even just thinking about this, like the last 20 years, with
Right.
everything that's happened in like when you, for those that love the comic book movies, right? And you start to think back to like, oh, well, the first one that started everything modern, X-Men #1 in 2000. And then it just dawns on you like, holy shit, that was 24 years ago that movie came out. Like, it doesn't seem like it was 24 years ago
No,
that I was sitting
I
in
know,
the
but I
theater
mean,
watching
dude, I
X-Men
mean,
for the first time.
if you really want to get technical, and you could probably go back before this talking about movie, but honestly, the first one that comes to my mind is 77, 78 Superman.
Superman, yeah.
Yeah.
It just didn't create the difference is, and Rob actually brought this up on a podcast too, and he does specifically bring out X-Men from 2000 because that from 2000 to now, there's been like a superhero movie almost every year.
Yeah.
Whereas
insane.
with Superman in 78, you can't say that. You can't even
Right.
really. You could almost say it with Batman from 89. It's not every year, but it's every couple.
Yeah.
But X-Men is really, I think, the one that open it up for producers to go, okay, I think we can do this. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, and growing up as kids, the only superhero stuff we had for a while was just the Superman movies, and then Batman
Mhm.
came out in '89, and you started having the Batman stuff in the '90s, but yeah, that 2000 when that hit, technology took a jump or whatever you want to call it. Pop culture hit. It was just the right time to start doing those kind
Yeah.
of like the Marvel movies, and that from that point on until now, just yeah, it's amazing. Uh, the amount of movies that they've actually made, and not just Marvel. DC started making movies, and jumping in there and doing their DC verse besides all the Batman stuff. So it's
So
crazy when you think about it. I'm
Look,
like,
but
damn, I'm
not for
42
nothing.
years old. I feel like I'm back, 22 when that movie first came out.
Yeah, but not for
Yeah.
nothing. Like when they did like the trial of the Incredible Hulk, Hulk, Daredevil, Hulk, and Thor. Like that
Oh
was
yeah.
as like a 6-year-old. I'm like, I can't believe I'm watching this, And looking back, it's
Yeah.
crap, but it's still so awesome that they got to team up on like CBS. It's like, oh shit. Like,
No,
okay.
I remember.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Blade.
Are you guys like the John Wick movies?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I still haven't seen
So
the
check
last one
this
yet,
out.
but
I just heard this. The director of the John Wick movies was the stunt double for Brandon Lee in The Crow. And after Brandon Lee died on set, they filmed everything with the stunt double. And
yeah,
even back then, they were able to use CGI to put Brandon's face on the stunt double in the
yeah.
scenes where you could obviously, see his face, and it
Right.
had to be Brandon Lee. But just the fact that that dude went from being a stunt double
Well, I didn't know that.
all the way back then to directing, John Wick is just so
That's
cool.
interesting.
That's cool. I didn't know. He
Yeah,
was-
actually, I didn't know that at all. That's cool.
I saw it online, so maybe it's not true, but I'll go.
Well, I
with it.
mean, I guess you do have to be careful about that stuff, but I wouldn't put
Yeah.
it past,
Yeah.
for somebody that lives in that industry or comes up in that industry to move
Right,
up from
yeah.
stuntman to eventually director. But yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. What a movie
Yeah.
to work on. Yeah, The Matrix. Yeah, that definitely changed a lot of things.
Yeah.
I missed this. We had a member chat from here on the Steadfast. I meant to get to it earlier and I forgot. I'm sorry. Member for 8 months says, "Hail Joe,
Nice.
Sean, and Andy. Hope all is well with you guys. Thank you, brother.
It is. Thank
We
you.
appreciate you
Right.
very much so." Also, shout out to Rick Saylor. I saw was in the house, member of the channel. Try to give all the members
Cool.
shout outs when I get a chance. Let's take a look at this. We got a little bit left in the show. Let's take a look at the trailer and see what goodness it
Sure.
has. If this will work. Come on. All right. What's happening? Oh, okay.
There it is.
An ancient evil awakened to slaughter his family. A mythical quest was revealed. Treacherous perils await. Lovers bound by destiny. Darkness gathers as a new game begins. One man's rage will shape worlds. KOR-DRATH, The Awakening. Only on Indiegogo. Back it now!
Now.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Who did I see Paulus Arts asking if that was AI or Frege.
Maybe it's the real thing. I don't see that third
Oh.
option in there.
I like that.
Ooh.
third
It's not
option.
the real thing. I don't know Arnold that well. It's Frege. So
That's so cool.
I called him up
That's
and I
so
was like, Dan, I need you to do me a favor. And he's like, what? And then like 5 minutes later, he sent it back to me. I was like, thank you. So I popped it in.
That's great.
So
that's great. I see that article you sent, Andy. That's the
yeah.
so that is not what I meant to bring up. I was gonna bring it. So yeah, this looks like a legit article for sure.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah. He did the trilogy because there was, if I remember right, there's 4 Wick movies out now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so this guy did the trilogy, so I'm assuming that means he just did the original 1 through 3, then bounced after.
Okay, gotcha. No, that's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to read that.
Yeah.
Check that out. No, that's awesome. I did not know that. I always love learning new things like that. I there was a Crow thing on was it Netflix? I don't know if it was a documentary, but maybe the movies that made us. I can't remember, but they had an episode about the Crow, and they covered the entire thing, and they covered the stunt double, which was obviously this dude that had to finish the film, and it's really cool how they brought that film together and everything. So it's not a duel.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's God, man. I still can't. Why would just the dumb shit. You hear how somebody dies from a dumb way, and you're just like, dude, you almost wish they didn't, so you could be like, never gonna pull that shit again, are you? And they're like, no,
Right.
not at all.
It's such a tragic thing, and I think what makes it worse. I mean, anybody dying on the set of a movie is horrible. Stunt people,
Of course,
people have died. But just in that instance, it sucks so bad because one, it was the son of a legendary man,
Yep.
and Bruce Lee. But just the fact that Brandon Lee was on the rise, he was like a young actor that was on the rise. This definitely would have been his breakout film. I guarantee he would have gone some places after the Crow hit. And it's just it's great. It's just tragic, and just for one mistake of somebody not clearing out whatever it is on that blank that they had to clear out, and boom, it's done. So
well, no, he did it to himself though.
He did.
I thought
it was the scene where he's getting I can't remember what scene it is, but he's getting shot. The character is getting shot.
Oh no, I thought, now see, you could be right. We might have to Google this real quick.
Yeah, because I think the stunt double or the stunt gun didn't clear the blank out from the last time they shot, so they left that piece of metal in there. But I'm pretty sure he was what scene was it?
God, see, I thought he was playing around with it and did it to himself. So now I don't remember.
Yeah, it was during filming the scene.
Oh, okay, yeah, then that's really bad. Yeah,
he didn't get back up. Obviously the film's probably out there somewhere and will never be seen, and hopefully never comes out.
Oh, okay.
But it was definitely it was definitely while filming. That's why it just makes it so tragic. You're filming.
Oh yeah, no, that
I don't even think it was in that chaos scene where he's getting plowed out like in the office. Like, I don't think it's that one.
I thought it was the scene where the main bad guy, after he's kind of lost the power of the Crow a little bit, the main bad guy comes and shoots him. I thought that was the scene, but I could be wrong. I'd have to go back and watch it again. But yeah.
So this is where all three of us are just on different things, because I'll be honest, I thought he was playing around with it, like, hey, look, it has blanks. Boom.
Oh, gotcha.
I've never heard
that. Now I don't know.
Yeah,
so
I definitely look it up, because it's a scene he got. They were actually filming, or they were rehearsing the scene or something.
Right.
It was in the process of doing an actual scene
that's
for the movie,
awful.
and he got shot by accident, and I think he died at the hospital, or I can't remember, but if anybody can look it up, go check it out. I think it's on Netflix, because there's an entire documentary that they did recently over the last few years, and they do a really good job of just diving into everything. So I can't remember.
Well, Deadpool 2, a stunt person died on a motorcycle scene.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
I think it was the stunt double for Domino. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's that's always tragic. That sucks. Didn't Chris Pratt, one of his stunt doubles, just die not too long ago? I thought I heard.
Yeah, it wasn't a movie thing though, was it?
Maybe it wasn't. I'm not sure. Maybe I just heard that his stunt double died. So yeah.
Maybe no, you're right. I remember. Sure. Yeah, I think Chris posted something about it.
Okay. Yeah, Sheldon. Yep. Yeah, thank you, brother. And by the way, member of the channel, Sheldon Martin in the house. Good to see you, brother. All right, guys, we're going to jump off here in just a second. We're going to be back
All
on
right.
Monday for the comic block at 9, starting at 9 with the Spawn review. We're going to finally be looking at issues 152,
Yep.
53. You know, and
Oh, there's
54
no
is
way
supposed
you
to be
started
out
with
this week.
number 1 and are all the way up to there.
Oh, hell no. We started at 350.
We're dedicated.
Yeah. We're going to
So
go
you're just
back at
jumping
some
around.
point. Well, we
We
wanted to
start
jump
off with
into the
that
current
stuff.
storyline
Yeah.
with Brett taking over the main book.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because this is one of the first times I've been very excited about a Spawn book, you know, because I haven't really
Okay.
read Spawn since issue 100 because I just kind of dipped
Yeah.
out for like 200 some odd issues. So I'm actually
Yeah.
I got back into it and we're like, yeah, we love the story. Obviously, Brett, we're a big supporter of Brett's art, and
Oh yeah.
you were like, let's start there. We're going to talk about the main story, and then we'll just bounce around throughout the history of Spawn and talk about whatever we want to talk about on nights when we're not reviewing the main story. So,
Oh,
but
cool.
yeah, we're gonna catch up on that. 9 o'clock, the Spawn review, be there. Then 10:15, appreciating comic book art live. And then next Wednesday, Steve Furkow will be back on the show. We had to cancel with him the last one he was coming up with. This is the rescheduled show. So check that out. And then out and stuff on Thursdays, Kelsey Shannon, I believe. I believe this is all from memory. I definitely
Nice.
have to look at the calendar.
You're
But
right here. You're right.
okay, I'm right. Look at that. Look at me. I'm awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. All right, guys, we're
That's
gonna run the short intro and get out of here. Andy, before we do though, where can people follow you at? Where can people, the links by the way are down below, guys, for
Thank you.
KOR-DRATH The Awakenings. Check that out if you like what we saw today. Check it out, links down below. Where can we find you? Where can we follow you, Andy?
Oh, Andy Smith Art at Andy Smith Art on Twitter X and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. Pretty much the same thing. I think YouTube is like Andy Smith Comic Book Artist, but you type that in, you'll find me. And yeah, like and subscribe to that channel and follow me on that other stuff and go check out KOR-DRATH. And there you go.
Hells yes. Hells yes. My computer's like freezing up, so hopefully you guys aren't seeing that. I do apologize if I was frozen there
Not
for a
seeing
second.
anything.
All right, good. Well, I should get out of here before it actually happens. Guys, thank you so much for watching wherever you're watching from. If you get a chance, go to the YouTube channel, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow it as much as we can, but we are trying to get an outreach to some of these other platforms as well. So thank you for joining us tonight. We love the chat. You guys make this all possible and fun. Until next time, I'm going to say this like I always do. Be good to each other. Take care of one another. And as always, picture me naked. Talk to y'all later. Peace.
Bye-bye.